Hi, Natasha. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you very much for the invitation to come on and talk to you. I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too. We are going to be talking about such an important thing, something that is really close to my heart. Action is everything. So, we are going to get into that topic that we have chosen for today, but I would love to understand who Natasha is. So, tell us, what is your story?
Well, I mean, where do you even start with a story? So, I initially wanted to work in the law. I think it was a lot to do with Ally McBeal, and I thought there was going to be a lot of dancing and a lot of cocktails, and there was a lot less dancing and a lot less cocktails than I ever could have imagined. And made the transition into HR. So I was studying for my master's in training and development, and met a man on a beach in Abu Dhabi, and 5 years later ended up in Madrid. So I was in my late 20s, and what does a girl do in Spain when she doesn't speak Spanish? And so I took a TEFL course, became a TEFL teacher, very much focused on HR and law, which were obviously my backgrounds and what I'd worked in for years, and decided I wanted to set up my own TEFL centre. So I set up my first business in 2006, which was TT Madrid. And I did it with no knowledge on how to run a business whatsoever, because you're taught so many. I knew my trade, and like most of us, when we set up businesses, we know our trade and we're experts in it, but it's just so hard to know how to run a business. So I kind of it was hard. Like, it was hard. It was really hard to make money. That clearly wasn't my natural inclination to make money. And slowly over time, I learned the skills, and had mentors and participated in programs, and really tried to learn what running a business meant, especially a small business, because you can do like a business degree and it's all economics, but it's not really the reality of how to pay the rent tomorrow. And then I set up my Spanish school in 2013, and we became Cervantes accredited, and the businesses have really just grown from there. So I've got quite a big team. I've got 30 in my team in Madrid, and some lovely premises, and we do great things. And I take it, and it's kind of like my serious grown-up business, and yeah, I've got it to the point where I don't need to be there daily now. So I have team meetings a week, but I actually live in Wales now. So we came back in 2019, at the end of 2019, anticipating that I would be able to go back monthly. Obviously didn't have in my business plan a global pandemic to overcome. But while all this was going on in Madrid, and me realizing how lonely it was, setting up a business, so a couple of us set up a group called International Women Building Businesses, and it was initially a Madrid-based group, and it was really to offer, support, training, a shoulder to cry on those days when you couldn't pay the rent, and to celebrate and connect and network. It then grew to the rest of Spain, and it's really international now. We've got 3,500 people in the group. It's very active, and it's very much for women who either have businesses abroad or really see the potential and opportunities of international connections. Because I think a lot of the times when we set up a business, I mean, if it's a bricks and mortar physical business, then your local geography is really, really important. But for a lot of people, especially in the service-based industry or a lot of products, it doesn't matter whether your client is in France or Australia or, wherever they can, and that kind of lacking of borders now, I think, is really, really interesting evolution of people's businesses, and just gives us so much more potential. So that's really my story. I stayed with the man I met on the beach. So he's my husband now, 20 years later. So that's nice. He's in Japan with the Olympics at the moment. And I have a 13-year-old, and 3 dogs who at some point I'm sure you'll hear, especially if the postman arrives. And as I say, the business is going very well in Madrid. We're starting to pick back up again now. And IWBB has become a business now because we offer training, membership, courses for women who are growing their businesses. And it really is based on basically all the mistakes I made. And hopefully, other women don't have to. And it's just a really lovely, supportive, cheerleady kind of community. It's not competitive; it's very much collaborative, and that's what I love about women doing business together. Is it is so collaborative.
Yeah.
So that's me.
Wow. What a fascinating, delightful, and inspiring story. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm sure there's more to the story about the man you met on the beach, but yeah, we'll talk about it some other day.
It's a story with a glass of wine, I think.
Yes. How beautiful, how amazing. So Natasha, tell us a little bit about why did you choose this topic? Action is everything.
I think as women, particularly women, we get so overwhelmed. We have so much going on. We're obviously, juggling. Sometimes we're juggling multiple jobs because you might initially set up a business and it be a side hustle, and hoping that it will grow. So you've actually got your job and the business you're going to try and create. You've probably got friends. You've probably, lots of women have families as well. So we tend to take on, multiple juggling roles. And I think that can lead to overwhelm. And I think when we get into that state of overwhelm, we can often get into action paralysis. So there's so much to do that you don't do anything and you just stop. And you kind of get that kind of spinning feeling where you feel like you're working a lot, but you're actually achieving and completing nothing. And so for me, action is really everything. So when we get our clients who you keep hitting these blocks and kind of stop, and it's about saying, okay, so how do we wind you back up again? What do you need in order to take that tiny little next step? And that's what I think is so important about action, is that we imagine action to be something big and powerful, let's take action, but it doesn't have to be that. And our whole philosophy is really a bite-sized intentional action. So bite-sized, we very much come from the philosophy of, how do you eat an elephant? And you eat an elephant one bite at a time. Yeah. And that's how you need to approach your business, because, it's huge. And I think as business owners, we imagine, we equate it a little bit to when we worked in companies, in that, you have a list and you get to the end of your list, but that never happens. As business owners, there is no end to our list. So we really need to embrace and accept that, that it's just ongoing. So you're almost setting yourself up for failure with the idea that you can get to the end of this list. So we teach very much this, as I say, this bite-sized intentional action, that the actions you take are small, they're intentional, like why you're taking them. Because I think, again, as business owners, we can often do lots of things that don't matter. We can go down rabbit holes with social media, or we can spend all our time on Instagram curating this, perfect wall and this, these perfect reels and these perfect things. But does it actually bring in any money? Does it help you with sales? Does it make you feel accomplished? And often it doesn't. And so that's what we really encourage all our members and anyone who kind of works with us to really think about what they're doing. And so we share things like, we think it's really important to have a master list, and your master list has your all and everything on it. So it doesn't matter to me whether it's to book an appointment for my son to go to the dentist, or buying a birthday card for my mother-in-law, or building a new website. All those things go on my master list, because my day doesn't really have, like most people who own a business, there's the link between your personal and professional. There's not go to the office, do your job and leave. There isn't that. So all those things need to be done, otherwise they're a stress. So they go on a master list and they say, you know, my master list is my all of my everything. It's got the thing that's most backed up in my whole company, because without that, I would be in action paralysis. And then we very much encourage and do ourselves time blocking. I don't know if you've probably, I'm sure, heard of time blocking. So time blocking really is about looking at the time you have and finding tasks to fit that time. And what I love about that is, you know, there's no point saying to yourself, right, tomorrow I need to get these 10 things done. If when you actually look at your diary tomorrow, you've only got 2 1-hour slots free. The rest is, you know, you've got an appointment here, you've got a client call here, you've got an interview, da 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 da. So how on earth are you going to get 10 things done? It wasn't ever achievable. So again, you're setting yourself up for failure and feeling that you're not accomplishing. Whereas if you look at your diary and go, okay, I've got a half an hour slot there. Let's go to my master list. Right, half an hour. I can't get stuck into anything for half an hour, but I've got a load of invoices that either need sending out or chasing up. Great. Half an hour, I'm going to get those invoices done. And then you've got an hour and a half block and you're like, oh, that's quite a good chunk of time. Right, I've got that course development to do, or I've got that blog to write, or I've got all those sales to follow up, or I've got to work on my sales strategy. So, right, that's what I'm going to do there. So that's what I really love about time blocking, is it helps you accomplish and to feel accomplished. Because I think we naturally tend to be quite mean to ourselves. And kind of, you know, like, oh God, you know, you never get anything done. We're, you know, that kind of feeling. Whereas this kind of gives you the reverse. You had 2 things on your list, you did them, and you kind of like, well done you, and off you pop for the day. So I really love that. And so, yeah, master list, time blocking, massive fan of accountability. In that, you know, I always say I wish I had a holiday booked every week, because that time before you go on holiday is normally, for most of us, one of our most productive. We're almost superhuman. What we get done in those 4 days before you go away, it's just like, you know, we'd probably you'd take over the world, global domination and all that. So it's because you're accountable for a time when you've got to stop and a time when everything's got to be done. And so, you know, that could be an accountability buddy, that you find someone who's got on a similar kind of balance to you, a kind of, you know, the same kind of flow as you. We do it through co-working in our group. So we have co-working twice a week. And, you know, we highly encourage people to come to the co-working and do the things they don't want to do. So, for example, for me, I have a particular course that I need to write every year. And I find it hard to get it written. So the commitment I make to myself is that during those co-working, so for those 4 hours a week, I work on that. And it's only 4 hours, and it's a massive course that I have to write, and very complex. It requires a lot of research. It's very academic, so it all has to be, you know, it's through working with a university, so it has to be, you know, all the references have to be correctly done, and, you know, and so what come what may, I get 4 hours of that done every week, and that is it just lifts me. You know, it's something that I feel that particular project sits in the corner and laughs at me sometimes. It's like, you know, the thing I think about at 4 o'clock in the morning when I wake up, go, oh, I still haven't done that. I'm so behind. And it's awful. It weighs me down. So by doing these 4 hours a week on it, I get it done every year, and without any drama. And I'm a big fan of a no drama business model. So if we can find ways to be accountable and to get things done, then, and I think that's huge. And I think it's often those tasks that people really struggle with to get done that get pushed to the side. So for some of my clients, for example, that's social media. They just hate social media, and it becomes this, as I say, this thing in the corner that laughs at them. So we look at strategies and ways that they can get it done without it being such drama. And as I say, for me, that's course development. And I'd say the other thing that I really struggle with is getting my blogs done. So we have productivity mornings twice a week where we journal, we do our time blocking so that, we're on top of what we're doing for the week. And then we do 10 minutes of writing. So I do 2 10-minute slots a week of blog writing. That's it. And I've got 6 blogs done this year, which is 6 more than I got done last year. And that's the thing, you imagine that 10 minutes won't be worth it, but it all adds up. Action adds up, and action adds up to things getting done and being accomplished. And it really is that kind of, bite-size approach to absolutely everything, because, every task we do in a business can be so big and can feel so overwhelming. And if we break them down, I think it can make a massive difference to your success and how you approach things.
There's so much goodness in what you just said, Natasha. I was sitting and smiling here because everything resonated so much. We are going to delve deeper, but I want to share with you that we have a live audience building up here. So Kali has joined us, and I've just lost a comment. I can't see who this person is. Derek has joined us. Lindsay is here. So welcome, everybody. Right. This busyness syndrome that you talk about, I think this is such a common problem wherein we feel that we are busy, but we aren't getting much done.
Absolutely. And I think that really is about having a strategy and having an intentional business.
Yeah.
So, why are you doing this? How are you doing it? And when are you going to do it? And, I think that's one of the mistakes I made in my first business, was that I didn't really, it was almost like playing at shop. I was playing at being a business owner. I was like, I'm going to have a business, and I'm going to have a business card, and it's all going to be very fancy and lovely. And it got really big. And I remember joining a mastermind in 2018. And we were a group of women who we were at a different stage to a lot of the solopreneurs that I work with. So we had staff, we had premises, we were kind of growing and quite quickly. And the group was called Scaling Up. And I remember feeling like my business was like a train that had no driver. It was just a runaway train. And I didn't seem to be able to stop the growth. And a lot of people would be like, oh, what a thing to moan about growth. But growth has to be sustainable. And growth has to make sense. And it was so quick that, it was really hard to work out what was viable, what was not, what financially was working. Was it, every time we had new students, that meant more teachers, more space, more books, more tables, more chairs, another set of rooms. And I remember getting halfway through 2018 and thinking, actually, I don't want to scale up. I want to do the reverse. I realized that my business is not intentional. I don't know how it got to where it is, but it's too big, and it's not what I want. The amount of time, energy it was taking up, all the things I loved about my business, me knowing my students, being connected with my staff. There was people wandering around who I hadn't met, and I was paying them. They were my employees. And that just felt not right for what I wanted. And for someone else, it might be perfectly intentional in terms of what they want. So I think it's really, really important to know what you're doing, why you're doing it. And as you start to make decisions about your business, to go back to that initial kind of goals and think, are these two things aligned? because it's okay to say no to opportunities. And I think that can be really hard in the early days when someone's dangling some money in front of you, to not take it because it's money. But it can often take up time and resources and lead us down a path that we didn't want to go down. You wanted to go down the light, skippy, sunny path, and suddenly you're going down, like a dark alley with no lighting. So I think that's really, really important, and something that with this business, it's very intentional. Me and my partner, Clodagh, I have a business partner with IWBB, and we just had our big quarterly session yesterday, and we've got the second half on Friday, and we really think about the decisions we're making and whether they're going to give us the balance and the life that we want. So for us, for example, flexibility is hugely important, something that we both value massively. I like to have naps. I'm a big fan of naps, which if I'm not employable now, nobody would employ me. I'm there with my slippers going, oh, can I have a little nap on a Monday afternoon? We both own dogs. We love going out for big, long dog walks. I like spending time with my son and going off and doing things. So flexibility is massively important to us as business owners. So are the decisions we're making, are the projects we're planning to get involved in, are the courses we're putting out there, do they align with that flexibility that's so key and core to us, or does it not? And so we're constantly, because we come up with great ideas, we're like, oh, do you know what we could do? Oh, we could. And then we go, hold on, that would mean this. Is that where we want to go? This, because it doesn't align with this. And then we go, no, we don't. We're like, right, so what could it look like in order to fit with where we are with our values and what means so much to me? And I think that's probably the biggest mistake I made in those first initial businesses, is that just the opportunities came and I was like, oh yes, thanks for thinking of me. Yes. And then it got to a point where I really wasn't enjoying it in the same way. And learned a lot from that. So yeah, I'm not sure if I even answered the question that was back when we started this, but that's where that went. So yes, intentionality is for me key to your business, so that you know why you're doing things, and it stops. There we go. I brought it back. So it stops that busyness of just doing without knowing why you're doing it.
Yeah. Actually, Clodagh's here. She's they're watching us.
Fabulous. Hello,
welcome. I think when it comes to talking about intentional business or building a business with intention, I would say this is probably one of the best examples I have listened to. How you are saying that your business just grew, it became too much, it became too big, and it wasn't aligned with who you wanted to be and how you wanted things to be. And so you literally wanted to bring it down, and how you have recreated the business. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the two businesses are separate, but it's smaller now. The language school, and it's as profitable. Yeah. And that's what's really interesting. People think that size equals money.
And success.
Exactly. So it's really good, Pearl, that's so important. Like, what is success to you? And success to me, as well as having money in my bank, is being able to have a nap on a Monday afternoon. That's just and so,
why am I laughing? Because naps for me are important 7 days a week.
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly something about having a nap on a Monday feels particularly decadent, because it's only a Monday. Like, who needs a nap on a Monday? But it really was kind of so unexpected, this realization to get to that point of my business where on paper it looks so successful, but the effort to get there and the margins just weren't making sense. And it's because we hadn't had time to look at the financial viability of things we were doing as the market changed. And so when we stripped back the business and looked at what worked and what didn't, and been able to, it wasn't quick to turn the tide of the business. I think it was a bit like one of those cruise liners. They don't just turn the wheel and the boat turns. It takes a really long time to change the direction, but it means we've made really intentional decisions about that business now. And it's in a point now. And what's really interesting is, if we hadn't started that process in mid to the end of 2018, I don't think we would have survived the global kind of pandemic, because we relied on international travel. But because it's so lean now, because it's such a fit business, I always equate it now to one of those, like wellness gurus who's on Facebook with like a 6-pack, and that's how the business is. It's healthy, it's toned, it's streamlined, it's efficient. And we've brought a lot of those things into IWBB. Cloda is more of a B2B, and I'm very much B2C. So as a combination, we work very well together, and I've got that other business, Cloda has got her other business. So we've both, got a lot of experience in things that work, things that don't. And I think that's what makes us quite a powerful team to work together and complement. And we've known each other since doing our law degrees. So 25 years ago, something like that. So, so yeah, it works really, really well.
25 years of knowing somebody, 25 years of nurturing that relationship, trust, friendship, and business partnership. How beautiful.
Absolutely. I mean, it's taken us a long time. We've worked together and collaborated on lots of projects throughout the years. It was a big decision to become business partners, because we're we're best friends. We're so close. So it was a risk, because it's a whole different relationship. There's money involved. There's time and responsibilities and commitments. And we talk, and we're on on Zoom or on the phone with each other pretty much every day. And also, we didn't want to neglect our friendship. We realized at one point, when we become partners, that when we talked, we forgot to talk about the life. So now we set particular times when we talk, and we now don't talk business, although we tend to get a little bit sidetracked. We love it so much. But that's been important as well. Partnerships are not, I've got 3 business partners with my 3 different businesses, and it's not easy. It's, people often say, how did you find a business partner? And I don't think you go looking for a business partner a lot of the time. I think my first business partner, Chris, he was someone who mentored me. I went to him and said, look, I've got this TEFL school and no idea what I'm doing. It's not making any money. It's great. Looks fabulous. But honestly, we're making no money because I don't know how to make money. And I worked with him, and then eventually we decided to go into business together. Charlie, who's my second business partner, I met her when she was working for someone else, and the company eventually closed, and we'd worked closely together. And I said to her, come out to Madrid. I'll pay for a ticket. Come to Madrid. Come talk to me, and let's see if we're a fit. And we were, because we'd worked together. So that was a natural progression. And again, with Cloda, it's been more us. We could have, I think, been partners years ago, but we've resisted because of the friendship. But I think we're both at a kind of grown-up stage now where we can play nicely, whatever. So yeah, so it's I love having business partners. It really suits me.
So you're not somebody who just talks about collaboration. I can see you live that life. That's Absolutely. How you work.
Absolutely. And I think what's one of the biggest strengths about IWBB and the Vault, which is our membership for women in business, is that we go out of our way to set people together. I think I could have been a really good matchmaker in another life, and I'm definitely a business matchmaker. I'm really good at going to people, even when they can't necessarily see the obvious ways to collaborate. Is to say, look, oh God, you know who you need to meet? Go and have coffee together, and there'll be ways, and so many like beautiful businesses have come about in IWBB because it's a platform that allows that kind of growth, that collaboration, that feeling of togetherness, and that everyone does have each other's back. You know, that everyone is looking for opportunities for other people as well as themselves, which is a really nice feeling. Really.
Yeah. Yeah. What is warming up my heart in this moment is the fact that you are not just growing yourself, Natasha. You are enabling all these people to grow along with you.
I do believe that, you know, and I know it's not everyone's agenda, but I do believe that women, the more we become business owners, the more we'll be able to change the world. I believe that the types of causes that women support, you know, and the more money we make, the more money, because there's enough for everyone. There should be enough for everyone. So the more money we make, I think we, as women, we tend to look for opportunities to put money to good use, to help take action. You know, it's coming back to this action. It's all right to talk about things you don't believe in or you like or you don't like, but you know, money and support and buying, you know, help for people is what can really make a change. And I think that there's a tidal wave coming of women in business. I think the next 10 years are going to be like, there's going to be an overwhelming presence of women-owned businesses, and I think we're going to have a massive impact on the world.
Yes.
Massive.
Yes.
And I think it is weird that you wouldn't have expected, you know, everyone's very negative about social media and Facebook and the damage it causes. But for me, for example, especially Facebook, really is about community. And I get that you can find everything evil and horrible and things, but I think you can also find so much beauty in things like, you know, Facebook, which has allowed women to set up businesses on very little money, and to be able to reach an audience and a community that traditionally back in the day before social media would have been impossible, would have cost thousands upon thousands upon thousands. And so that's what I think is really interesting about, you know, things like Facebook and Facebook groups and communities that you can grow.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It is all about community. I would say in my case, except for the first few clients that I would have signed up when I started, each of my clients have come to me through social medias. A lot of them have come through Facebook, and many have come through LinkedIn. There are different kind of people who come to me from different platforms, but I've got almost all my clients through social media. And when people talk about all that negativity, I say, hey, nobody's pushing you to get involved in it. You don't have to get embroiled in that negativity and all that conflict if you don't want to.
Absolutely. And I think that is about that, you know, saying to yourself, again, you know, be intentional with your social media use. Use it for the purpose you're there. If it's to connect, if it's for community, it's certainly not for me to have an argument over XYZ. It's just not what I'm there for. There's, you know, there's enough negativity watching the news for just 10 minutes. I don't need more of that. So I'm with you on that. And I agree, you can get so many clients. I mean, both LinkedIn and Facebook, I think are massive, so powerful in terms of client reach.
Yeah, it's interesting how the two platforms get completely different kind of people. So from Facebook, I typically get people who have watched me for some time. They would hang out with me in the group or participate in one of my free things. But LinkedIn is different. Those people are lurkers, most of them. They would probably be consuming a little bit of content here and there, and then they just come and sign up. So I've got to love these platforms.
Completely. And I love a lurker. We're always surprised with people who sign up for our courses. We've got our business map course starting in October. And I'm always really shocked by the people who suddenly sign up for it. And it's often lurkers. And they can say, you know, I've been in the group for a couple of years, and I look through and I think, oh gosh, they've never posted, but they're there. And, you know, and that's fine. For me, you can be a participant, you can be a watcher, you can be someone who helps behind the scenes. I don't think there's one, you know, it allows everyone to be who they want to be on social media. You can be the loudest person, you can be the quietest person, you can be the most engaged or the least engaged.
Yeah.
You can still benefit from it. And that's really nice.
Yes, yes. Yeah, the freedom to be all of these people is really nice.
Yeah, because there's not many things where that happens. You know, if you're in a meeting, then you need to be the person who speaks and the person who gets their point across. And, you know, if you're a shy person or a lurker or someone who's, you know, not great at expressing themselves, then you often wouldn't be heard and you'd be overlooked. But I think in social media, you get to participate in a way that makes you feel comfortable, which is really nice.
Yeah. 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 I'm completely with you on this. God, we are so aligned.
Always good, isn't it?
Yes. We have a few comments here. Facebook is showing me the comments, and Lindsay is saying, yes, Natasha and Clodagh definitely walk the talk.
Lindsay's one of our most amazing clients. So she she's a coach who has two very different business streams, and they just work so well together. So she helps PAs to get a better communication, a better understanding of their boss, which I think is really something that's overlooked. You look at the leadership role, but you don't look at the people supporting the leader. And that can be a really tough role. And then as a sports mum, so she's got a child who's, I mean, he's a young man now, who's an amazing basketball player. And it really takes a huge amount of commitment, time, knowledge, and understanding to be a good sports parent. And again, it's a very overlooked, kind of overlooked category. And so Lindsay supports sports parents to be the best parent they can while keeping sane and really supporting them. So it's really two really interesting business ideas. And she's just one of those super committed, super collaborative, super helpful. You know, she'll turn up today because she supports us. And she's amazing. So yes.
And we also have Samantha here who's saying, love Natasha and Clodagh. They give heaps of advice. And I love what she has written next. They give heaps of advice and a serious kick up the arse when needed. Oh, I love that.
We do. One of our clients described us as kicks and cuddles. So we're very sensitive, I think. I think we're both quite empathetic people, and you know, we give people space to be who they need to be, and this comes down to this action again. Sometimes you just need a good kick up the arse to get you moving and into action again, because we can often spin around in circles and I can't make a decision and what do you think, da-da. At some point it's just like, choose a side, any side's fine, but let's just get on and move.
Yes.
And it's stopping people, you know, it's helping people to, when they've got to that, as I keep saying, action paralysis. It was actually Lindsay that came up with the phrase action paralysis that so described it, and that we really help women to move forward again, and keep making progress.
And that's really important because we can know all the concepts, we could have all the skill sets, all the tools in our toolkit, but if we don't take action, nothing is going to happen.
It really is the case. And, you know, we have, you know, clients who come to us and they have these amazing courses and they've built them and they've designed them and everything's just stunning. And it's like, so who's buying it? And it's like, well, no one yet. And it's like, we need action on sales. And it's like, well, you know, I don't like to be too pushy. And we're like, okay. So, and that's when this kind of bite-sized approach really works, because just telling a client to go out and sell is overwhelming for someone who feels uncomfortable with sales. So there's probably mindset issues with sales, you know, feeling sleazy or pushy. There's where and how to do it. There's how to close. You know, there's probably pricing issues that are going on there. So it really is about breaking down that whole thing into tiny steps so that by the time they get there, they don't even realize they're selling, because there's so many little steps that's taken them there. They're suddenly selling. And it's like, why? And they're like, oh my God, I've got people signing up. Yeah, because you've put together a sales strategy. And it really, because it was so many little pieces you didn't notice. It's just like you don't notice your children getting taller because you see them every day. And suddenly you've put together a strategy, and there you are out there selling. And it's so important.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Natasha. If we don't have a sales strategy in place, well, the business isn't going to work, because the business needs sales to survive.
Absolutely. I think you've always got to ask yourself, and I then get it's not all about money, because we've talked, like I was saying, about me and Chloe, and our flexibility is important.
Yeah.
But it's a business.
Yeah.
If you've set up a charity, fantastic. If you set up for a not-for-profit, fantastic. But if you set up a business, it's job, it's destiny, it's to make money. And so for me, when you make decisions about, where your business is going in this intentional framework, it's about asking, where's the money? And if you follow that pot down and at the end of it, it's an empty pot, then that's not a decision you should be making. You need to be following the money. It needs to make sense financially.
Yeah. I would add that even if it's a not-for-profit we have set up, well, to make that organization work, money would be required.
Absolutely. And to do your best for a charity, to serve the people the best you can.
Yeah.
The more money you make, the more you can serve them.
Exactly. Can I share with you how I worked on my own sales story that really got me in the zone? So I was also somebody who used to work in the corporate world, so never had to really go out and sell anything, always had to sell lots of ideas and emotional stuff, but then never as such a product or service. And then I became a business owner, and you can't run a business with the mindset of an employee.
No.
They're two different things. And so in the beginning, I had all these hang-ups about, if I tell people about my service, I would be seen as pushy, icky, manipulative. How do I do it right? The drama. And then eventually, after some time, I figured out and I understood that actually selling was not a bad thing. Selling was serving. Absolutely. It is not one or the other. Because I see this a lot in the coaching industry, and this is one of my rants, Natasha. People think that either they can serve or they can sell. But I just put them together and I say, when you sell, you actually serve, because you can only go so deep with your clients. And we don't go around coaching just everybody, right? That's not possible. That's crossing boundaries. That doesn't even work.
No. Absolutely. No, I agree. I think that's massively important, and a message that needs to go far and wide. I really do. It's absolutely, unless you give people opportunities to buy from you, you're actually letting them down. You're not giving them that opportunity to have the transformation that you can deliver.
Yeah.
And I think what you really nailed it then is that sleazy kind of feel when you first come out of being an employee and going into business. And, that sense of, people are going to be like, oh, stop it, I don't want to hear from you anymore. But if you find a way of selling that's aligned with your values, I think it can work very well. I think one of the problems a little bit at the moment with kind of what's being said out there, around the world is, sell in a way that feels comfortable. But I also think it needs to feel a little bit uncomfortable, because I think if we all relied on being comfortable, you would still be at the point where you weren't selling too much because you didn't want to, encroach. I definitely think we need to expand that a little bit. I think sales should feel a little bit uncomfortable, and then that you're pushing yourself to make them.
Yeah.
They just shouldn't feel sleazy or spammy.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah. Yeah, I do see that a lot of people object to, oh, you're going to make a pitch at me when you connect with me on social media. And that could be true.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us are are building our businesses through social media because that's the free way to do it, right? Or the whole organic stuff. But I think what a lot of people ignore in the process is that when somebody makes a pitch at them, they have the power to say no.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's so important. Everyone has a choice.
Just say no.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we make those decisions every day and don't overthink it.
Mm,
And that's something I think is really important as well, is that no one no one spends as much time thinking about us as we do.
yeah. Surprise. Their world doesn't revolve around us.
Exactly. I don't think it's even necessarily a kind of narcissistic child kind of version of it. It's that we imagine that when we do something, because we've put so much thought into that action, that intention is going to have this ripple effect on this person, and they're going to sit there for 5 hours worrying about saying no to us, and they're just not. They're absolutely not. And so you're going to put it out there, and they're going to go, oh, that's fantastic, not right time for me at the moment. And you'll go, oh, when could that, and whatever your sales process is, and then it's a no at the end of it, and you possibly have to lick your wounds for a little bit, but the other person is like moved on like that, it's done. And I think we need to remember that no one thinks nearly as complexly about the situation as we do.
Yeah, which also means that as business owners, we can tell people about our services and trust that our audience can say no to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just as we behave like that, you have to look at how you behave in the world and how you show up and how you interact, and you don't overthink it. You don't say no to someone and then just, have to go to bed for 5 hours to get over it. You just say no and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So important. Really, really important. I think sales, the mindset of sales is a really, really challenging area for particularly women.
mm,
I do think we find it very stressful and very challenging,
yeah.
and really need to build bit by bit to grow our confidence in those areas, and to get over those mind blocks.
Yeah, other than the skills, well, there's obviously a set of skills that's required to
Absolutely.
sell, but I think it's the story and the meaning that we have attached to selling that really gets in our way.
Absolutely, I agree. No, and I agree. There are absolutely skills. I mean, I know there's this kind of, always he's a natural salesman or she's a natural saleswoman, and I think there is an element to that. But I think pretty much anyone can learn good, competent sales skills,
Yeah,
if they have those tools in front of them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, they can.
This discussion was so good, Natasha. Tell me, how can people experience some of this goodness with you? How can people work with you?
Well, if you want to just kind of consume free stuff to start off with, we've got a fantastic Facebook group, which is IWBB Abroad, which is our Facebook group. So anyone's welcome, who's, as I say, who's got a business abroad or who has an interest in growing their kind of international network. And we also have a membership, which is obviously a monthly thing. What's interesting about our membership, I think, is one, me and Claudia are very involved in it. It's not a kind of recorded thing, and it's very hands-off. It's very involved from our point of view. And we practice what we preach. So we're fully aware that you can't just set the theme of, so for example, this month we're working on freebies and funnels, and next month we're working on SEO, and then we've got sales, finance, etc. So every month has a theme, and each week we give our members a really small action to take, and we give them the tools they need and the information they need to take that action. So the idea is, whatever happens every month, you're working on your business. Like, you're intentionally taking steps and actions to take your business forward. And I love that. And sales week is Sales month is the one I'm most looking forward to, because we've got some great tasks for sales month. We chose SEO for August because some people need it, some people don't, and it's August, and lots of people are off traveling and things. And so, yeah, we have themes and the membership, and we have a trial for our membership. So anybody who wants to trial our membership, it's just €1 for the month, because I think memberships are a bit like a hairdresser. You've got to find the right one for you. Not everyone's a fit for everyone. And it's a close and quite special relationship we have with our members. So I think if, you've got to feel the feel. You've got to get the warm fuzzies from a membership for it to be right for you, which is why we do the trial. So you can kind of have a month of participating or lurking, doing whatever you want. And so we have co-working, we have productivity mornings, we have expert live trainers come in, we have drinks, we've got drinks on Friday night, and there's a Facebook group, and it's very small. As I say, we're there giving feedback. If people are writing their freebies this month, they're posting them in the group, we're giving them feedback on them. It's really nice. So yeah, there's our membership if anyone's interested, and we post about it regularly in our Facebook group as well.
Yeah, and Clodagh has just dropped a link here, which is going to be useful for anyone to explore. Well, it looks like the whole package. Once people join this membership, they don't need anything else.
No, sorry, my dog's deciding. It's there's lots of stuff there. As I say, it's just for women, and it's very much got that international kind of feel. There's people from all over, and I love that. We love the weird cultural stuff that comes up that we learn from. We've actually got one of the women in the group who's her business is cultural competence, and and she helps to facilitate some of that. It's really interesting.
Yeah, sounds really interesting. Natasha, before we let you go, what is one big message you want to share with our audience?
It's the bite-size action. It's the stopping the overwhelm. Just today, take a breath, stop, and know that you're doing your best. I think we can be so tough on ourselves. I have on my light switches around my house, I have little stars, and my green ones are for money, and my red ones are saying something nice to myself. And I go past them and I press them, and I tell myself how fabulous I am, because it's so easy to get into this kind of negative mind frame. And I just need reminders every now and again that I'm doing a really great job. And I can honestly say, I go to bed most nights and go, honestly, you did your best today. And I think we have this expectation that we are superhuman. And we're absolutely not. We're just women doing our best, setting up businesses. And so I think, as the CEO of my own company, if as an employee of myself, would I expect anything more if I was paying someone to do this job? And I wouldn't. And so if I'm doing my best with what I have that day, well done me. That's what I want to share.
Well done you. Yeah. What a powerful message to finish this conversation with. Natasha, thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been great. And I think you really nailed it when you said, we are really aligned. So I think we'll definitely be talking further in the future.
Yes, we will be. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.